Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's Matthew, Watty's channel. Thank you for joining me. Once again, I am back down in the game room, and last week we finally knocked out the Ram Treasures review videos. Or not really review videos, it was just kind of talking about the ups and downs of Ram Treasures, and I always said that once I got all of the key figures in, I am going to do a Ram Treasures exclusive, or a my favorite Ram Treasures exclusive tournament video. And I'm still not 100%. Since I got this last batch of figures in, they came out with a new Mr. T figure, so that figure is not going to be included. Now, if the numbers end up being uneven, I can still go out and purchase that figure and add them later as kind of like a... And I don't want to do that either, because that's just unfair, to be honest, to have someone come in as like a little lottery pick type of deal or something at the number 2 or 3 third round or something. So I may not do that. The only other figures that are missing are Undertaker and Paul Bearer. Now, the Undertaker, you would think that that would be the very first figure that I would absolutely jump on, because, you know, it is an incredible figure. I absolutely love it. But the reason I never purchased it is because through Wrestling Writer, I commissioned him to make me an Undertaker and Paul Bearer. Those figures were actually probably a couple months or maybe even several months before Ram Treasures even came out with their figures, and I think they're the same figure if I'm not mistaken. So it just made no sense for me to purchase Ram Treasures, Paul Bearer, and Undertaker if I already have the same figures being made. As you guys know, I had so many commissions through Eric that I wanted him to just send everything all at once when he completed it. So it's been quite a while for a lot of figures. I mean, I've had figures back in queue from last year. That's fine. We have a good relationship, and, you know, friendship and trustworthiness and all that stuff. So I'm not concerned. So outside of Mr. T, The Undertaker, Paul Bearer, those are the only 3 figures that I don't have that are Ram Treasures exclusives that will not be included in this tournament. Now, I did decide to go ahead and keep the Galoob 2-ups. Yeah, they're Galoob. They're not technically, you know, exclusive figures, but the LJN version are exclusive to, you know, Ram Treasures and, of course, you know, Kevin over at Print Fury. I figured I might want to include the 2 Earthquake figures I bought from Kevin directly, but they're resin figures and they weren't purchased from Ram Treasures, so I've decided not to include those 2. And, you know, figures that I bought from Ram Treasures that are original to an extent, meaning that they came out with original lines, like the Hasbro mail away of Sergeant Slaughter. That 8-inch figure will not be included. Figures that you would have seen from the original LJN line that I bought from Ram Treasures, you know, before I ever bought the original figures. Guys like Bam Bam Bigelow or Series 2 short-haired Andre the Giant. Your Series 6 figures, you know, Warlord, Warrior, Haku, Rick Rude, Big Boss Man, etc. Those figures will not be included. I did buy a white shirt referee. White shirt will not be included. However, I also have a third variant, a pink shirt referee. That pink shirt is included because I kind of consider that to be an exclusive to Ram Treasures. So when I throw in the Gloop 2-ups, that does give us 42 figures overall. So after round 1, you're going to be down to 21 figures. I don't know how I want to do round 2 because it's going to be uneven. Right now, I'm kind of thinking that instead of having a 3-man match at the end where 2 figures are eliminated, I'll probably just eliminate one figure, and that way kind of keep, you know, the numbers high, or a little bit higher than expected. And I think that's going to balance it out anyways, so that's going to really help as well. 42 figures, this is not going to be a long tournament by any stretch of the imagination, and because Ram Treasures is constantly coming out with new figures, and this could easily be a competition that I do on a yearly basis. I don't think I'm going to be doing this like every 6 months, or, you know, if they come out with every 5 or 10 figures. No, I'll probably do it like once a year. And this might replace the My Favorite LJN tournament. I know I said I was going to come out with a 3rd tournament in January, but we're probably hovering, easily surpassing 200 figures all in all. And because so many people, especially those that have been with me since the beginning, have already seen 2 full tournaments, and I really don't think anything is going to change from the first 2 to now. So if there's enough of a response to creating a 3rd one, I'll do it, of course. You know, the videos are for you guys after all. But right now, I think that the Ram Treasures tournament will probably take over that spot, because it's not going to be as many figures, and it's going to be a little bit more bearable, a little bit more watchable. So I did write down all the names of the Ram Treasures figures. It's going to be another blind drawing. I got the names put in a hat. I'm going to draw the names with you guys, so you'll know the matchups. I'll probably start with 4 matches instead of doing 5 matches at a time. And I don't know, kind of try and progress or try and expand these videos out a little bit more. That way you probably get, 10 videos or more out of it, as opposed to maybe 7 or 8 videos. So we'll start with 4 matches, and if the video goes extremely short, like 15 minutes or something, we'll bring out to another 5 matches or so, like we've been doing. The other thing is, because there's so much information that I didn't mention during the Ram Treasures video that I came out with last week, I want to kind of use this opportunity to kind of expand and throw out some more information. What I covered about the company, what I dislike, etc., as well as talking about the figures themselves. And as you guys noticed, no more mic. If I was a smart man, I would have kind of did like a little drive-by, made like a 1-minute film and kind of hear what the audio quality sounded like, and I didn't do that. I filmed my Ram Treasures video, which is probably the most important video on my channel, I think, and I came back like a day or 2 later and filmed those 2 Zombie Sailors review videos, and still using the microphone. And the audio quality, like I said, nothing about my channel is super technological or anything like that. Yeah, I hit record, I hit pause, I hit stop, and then I go and I post the video. It's as simple as that. No major like editing or anything like that. So kind of disappointed at how those videos came out as far as audio, but hopefully you guys really enjoyed them. I still go back and watch them from time to time and get a kick out of them, even with the audio. So alright guys, so we are going to dive right in to the first 4 matches. Once I get the matches, I'll pause the video, I'll write them down in my notebook, pull the figures, and we will begin. Alright. Kind of get these mixed in there a little bit. Alright, first name, Mr. Perfect. And Mr. Perfect will square off against Hulk Hogan. Next matchup is going to feature Mike Sharp, as he does battle against Smash. Next one up is going to feature the pink shirt referee and he's going to square off against Hawk. The last matchup for this particular video is going to be Luke of the Bushwackers, and he's going to do battle against Barry Windham. Alright, so we do have our first 4 matches. One key note that I didn't mention, I do have Demolition Axe as part of this tournament. As you guys remember through previous videos, I always mention that the Demolition Axe figure is not a purchase from Ram Treasures, but I keep it with the Ram Treasures collection because of the face paint. It is an original red face Axe LJN that somebody just kind of repainted, customized to look like the Ram Treasures version, and I keep it with the Demolition tag team for that purpose, with the Ram Treasures figures for that purpose because it's a kind of molded after it. I really didn't have to spend all that extra money for the exact same figure. So Demolition Axe with the gray face and red eyeshadow, whatever, will be included in this tournament. So I'm gonna write these names in the book, pull the figures, and I will be back in a split second. Alright everybody, I've got the names written down and the figures pulled, and we are able to begin the start of the My Favorite Random Treasures exclusive tournament. Alright, so the first figures is going to feature Mr. Perfect squaring off against Hulk Hogan. And we'll start about the Hulk Hogan figure. So one of the first things I mentioned when I talked about this particular figure in the last Random Treasures video, there's certain figures like Rip Thomas that, okay, I can understand kind of using that figure or using a Series 5 Hulk Hogan to kind of create that figure. Got it. I have no problems with them creating a new Hulk Hogan figure. My favorite wrestler, and Hulk Hogan after all is the most popular action figure. I don't know how many action figures you create of Hulk Hogan. Not just licensing Hulk Hogan figures, but also knockoff figures as well. Literally the most popular wrestler ever. And he's always going to sell well, no matter what it is. It could be a knockoff, it could be, Mattel, or I don't know who else, LJN, Hasbro, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to think of companies outside of those big names. But this figure, I don't understand it. And then it came back with the exact same figure, which I don't have. I should have included that one as well. Which is like the 1980s New Japan Pro Wrestling head mold. So much younger Hulk Hogan, which I like that head a lot better. Don't get me wrong, but it's the exact same figure. What do I always say? Clothing, accessories make the figure. When you look at it, could be Hasbro, it could be LJN, it don't matter. If you look at figures like Big Boss Man, the $1 Million Man, you look at Honky Tonk Man, etc. These characters that come with clothing, accessories, if they were just bare chested and shorts, the figures wouldn't mean as much. Look at the Harley Race from LJN. If that was a bare-chested figure with the hands in all close the way that they are and just trunks, that could rattle Jimmy Snuka's top seed spot as the worst LJN figure. But because he comes in with that jacket accessory, it looks really sharp to go along with the crown accessory. So clothing does make a huge difference for me. And basically pulling out the exact same Hulk Hogan figure, what all they're doing is replacing either the red shirt or the white shirt with bare skin. I'm not a huge fan of that. It is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a bad figure. Is it worth the money? If you're a Hulk Hogan collector, or if you love the character, or if you don't have a Hulk Hogan, yeah, you go for it. But I would never say don't buy from Random Treasures, never. Everybody has their decision, has their own choice to make. I just don't think, I like the Ultimate Warrior Volume 2, I just don't think that this particular Hulk Hogan needed to be made. Is it a bad figure? It is not. It's a decent figure. As I said, with Random Treasures, it's probably a middle of the rotation type of figure. Nothing super flashy, but, far from bad. And, I kind of like the skin. I like the way that the rubber kind of, like with the Zeus figure, the way that the figures shine. I like that a lot. That makes it really nice. And, he does have real Hulk Hogan hair. That's like vintage, Hulk Hogan right there for me. So not a bad one. And I like that they actually, painted up the laces and everything. So a lot of good things about the figure. Some I don't like, but overall, it's an average to maybe even above average figure. Hulk Hogan does square off against Curt Hennig's Mr. Perfect. This figure in itself had the potential to be, if not a top 5, maybe a top 7 or top 8 action figure from Random Treasures. It is a really, really good figure. But ever since Random Treasures started making like all these Galoob 2-ups, they have yet to come out with the Steiner Brothers or any of the Series 2 UK exclusives. My question is, when you started creating all of these figures for all these Gloop 2-ups, why did you not take the Mr. Perfect mold and create Scott Steiner? It is literally the exact same figure. Everything from pose to even the singlet. So, because I'm not a huge fan of the Scott Steiner Galoob figure, as a kid, I had that figure. I played the heck out of it. Among the Galoobs, probably one of the most enjoyable figures. But as an adult, I can't stand that figure. I think it's a terrible pose. And you're kind of stuck with what you have available as a kid, right? So, that pose really ruins the overall figure for me. But everything from the Mr. P on his boots, the double colored singlet, I keep thinking that, you know, the Razor Ramon and the Mr. Perfect, etc., have some of the best hair of any of the action figures I've ever seen. So this is an incredible piece. I think right now I'd probably put Mr. Perfect somewhere around top 12, top 15. And the reason I rate him so low is because pose and the rubber. The rubber, when you compare a Mr. Perfect to that of Hulk Hogan, the skin tone is terrible. I don't like the cheapness of the rubber. The figure's still holding up. And even though there are a lot of discrepancies, and you know, like I said, you could see it on his boot right here, where the tan skin tone is kind of bleeding onto the boots. I mean, why do these figures do that? Maybe Ram Treasures are learning, and that's why they start coming out with like these figures, you know, try and help to keep the figures from spreading. All in all, to me, it's a no-brainer. Mr. Perfect is going to win. As much as I love the figure as much as I find a lot of discrepancies with the figure, it is still one of my favorite Ram Treasures exclusives. And like I said, they have this figure. Where is the Scott Steiner? Let's get Rick Steiner made. Let's finish up the Gloop 2-ups. I'm still waiting on the Brian Pillman. That right there is one of the key highlight Ram Treasure figures that I'm looking for. So, Mr. Perfect defeats Hulk Hogan. Put a little star next to the name. The next battle is going to feature one of Ram Treasure's absolute best versus one of Ram Treasure's absolute worst. Can you know which one is which? Mike Sharp, man. I just don't know anything about Mike Sharp. I didn't know him as a wrestler. In fact, I think the only time I ever heard that name was when the figure was released by Ram Treasures. And a lot of people in the comments started talking about, you know, how much they love and appreciate that Mike Sharp being made. I'm like, who the heck is Mike Sharp? I don't know. You probably have to be born in like the mid-70s at least, up until like the early 80s to probably have known who Mike Sharp is. I mean, I was born mid-80s, but I mean, never old enough to know who this guy was. Not unless he went by another name. I don't know. So when you actually look at the figure, there's just so little positive about this figure. Let's start with the face. His face looks so generic. When you think about the referees from the LJN, a lot of people think that the white shirt and the blue shirt are supposed to imitate the Hebner twins. And I know that Dave Hebner was probably a long-standing WWF referee. Earl Hebner, I don't think he was a refereeing as long, not until like the 90s or whatever, when Hulk Hogan lost his title belt to Andre. Or was that late 80s? Anyways, that's the thought process, is that they think that they're the Hebner twins, when in reality they're probably just two generic looking characters for referee. When I look at this figure, I look at the face, and it doesn't look like a lot of these other, you know, characters. You know, they're made to look like the wrestlers, right? This looks like a generic knockoff figure, nothing super flashy. Because he's just an all-black figure, it's just so simple. The color scheme does nothing for me. Greg Valentine is an all black figure. Black trunks, black boots. He's my number 5 all-time favorite LJN. And it has a lot to do with the fact that he's a very playable figure and one of the most enjoyable to use. This is a terrible pose. He's got that Hercules Hernandez LJN pose. For Hercules Hernandez, it's acceptable. What do I talk about? Like B. Brian Blair. The pose works for that figure, but the figures from Ram Treasures, they just don't work as well. Maybe it's the weakness of the rubber, the discoloration where it just looks like fake rubber. It doesn't look like actual skin tone. The chest hair I've never been a fan of. Again, there's a reason figures like Mil Mascaras and Mike Sharp and I don't know who else came out a year ago, and I didn't buy them until recently. And I only bought them because I wanted to make these tournament videos, and I got them for a little bit more often than normal. So Mike Sharp, not a good figure at all by any stretch of the imagination. You know, he could do a DDT, he could do an elbow drop. I don't know what else to say about this. I just don't know what the guys over at Print Fury and Ram Treasure were thinking when they designed this figure. It's just not a good one. And Smash, this is something. This is one of those figures that I talk about why I had so much blind loyalty towards Ram Treasures, because they were coming out with figures that you absolutely needed to complete the line, right? So, you know, your Bad News Brown and your Brother Love and your Smash from Demolition, etc. All of these characters that should have been made in Series 6 that weren't, you know, and you got a really good one. Problem is, they kind of mimic the red-faced axe from Series 5. And so, instead of having the right hand Jesse Ventura, they give you the left hand Jesse Ventura. In a nutshell, it's, you know, Jesse Ventura, Axe, or Smash, they're the same figure. But they do what Axe did, and, you know, have his little vest and stuff on there. There are certain things like the blue knee pads that they throw in there. That's a nice little bonus. The figure does have really excellent hair, and the face paint is incredible. As you know, the little leather chaps and straps and everything. I mean, I absolutely love the look of the figure overall. Downside, it all starts with the fighting pose. Not every tag team needs to be a mirror of their counterpart. You can have a little bit of separation here and there, and that kills the figure for me. That makes it horrendous. The skin tone or the cheapness of the rubber really affects the figure. All in all, if it wasn't for the pose or the skin, I think right now I have Smash as like either number 3 or number 4 of my favorite Ram Treasure figures. So this is a fantastic piece. Like I said, one of the absolute best Ram Treasure figures. At least a 9 out of 10 figure for me. Versus one of the worst. And, I mean, can I really put a 1 out of 10 on this? I mean, 0 out of 10 seems unfair. But it's just not a good one. To me, this was an absolute no-brainer. Smash all day, every day will defeat Mike Sharp. The next matchup is already a difficult choice, and we're only in the first video of the tournament because it features Legion of Doom Hawk as he squares off against Peak Shirt Referee. As I said at the beginning of the video, any of the referees, like the white shirt or blue shirt, if you bought them from Ram Treasures, I would consider that to be original because it's the same figure, same paint scheme and all that. Because they alter the paint scheme a little bit, it makes it a completely different figure. This is a tough one. Just like the last match, we already know, just like we knew Demolition Smash was going to beat Mike Sharp, we know that Hawk is going to beat the referee. But this is what sucks about this, because the referee, in my opinion, whether you're talking Random Treasures or if you're talking about the original LJN line, the referee has one of the best figures. Yeah, he's a little bit smaller, but he has an absolutely incredible fighting pose. And if you were to flip this arm to the left side, he'd basically be Terry Funk. And if you love Terry Funk and if you wrestle with Terry Funk, there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't be able to use a referee as a wrestler. If I had these as a kid and I had referee, best believe it, I would wrestle the heck out of them. Shoot. I started bidding on these He-Man figures a couple days ago, and I won about half a dozen or so. I don't collect He-Man. I don't ever remember watching He-Man as a kid, but one of the figures that I saw, it brought me back to childhood. His name was Grizzlor, and he's like this big, fluffy, hairy guy, like Cousin It or something. And I remember that figure because I used to use that figure as a wrestler when I from childhood. Looking back at the Hasbros, I had about 17 figures, another 6 or 7 Galoobs. So if you want a stable 30-man Royal Rumble, you're going to have to find other wrestlers. And that's where guys like Cathro or Panthro, whatever the heck his name is, from Thundercats. The other guy was called Jackalman. And the other guy looks like a big lion with long arms. I used him. I used that Grizzlor figure. The Bendies, Harry from Harry and the Hendersons, or the Incredible Hulk, So there are certain figures that we had to use as wrestlers. And you know what? I could have said that the referee was his wrestling gimmick. So you don't actually have to say he's a referee gimmick. It's a fantastic piece. When I thought about this tournament, I really thought this was going to be like a 3rd or 4th round figure. With random drawings like this, it sucks because I think that the Legion of Doom figures are probably the cream of the crop of Random Treasures exclusives. Now, both Hawk and Animal each come with their own fighting pose, their own unique fighting pose, which is great. You're not mirroring the figures. He's more like a Nikolai Volkov type pose. So I like this figure, fighting pose wise, better than Animal. But of course, you're going to love the Animal face paint more. So the head sculpt looks amazing. And look at the muscles in the back. Alright, so that they really went all out with this figure. I really love that. And just like my other customs of Legion of Doom, they kind of keep like little side drawings on the pants looking really sharp. And yeah, I think it says LOD on the pants, but that's messed up by his belt. Issue with the Legion of Doom figures. Issue with Legion of Doom, with the Wild Samoans, with the Bushwackers. Alright, so I didn't mention this in the Random Treasures video. I'm mentioning it now. This is, you buy this individually. This is a $130 figure. Or you buy this, it's $130 with 10% off coupon. You buy this, $130, bam. You buy them together, $260. Simple enough. That's $260, 2 figures, painted. You buy the Legion of Doom, you buy 2 figures, $260. Okay, makes sense. But here's where Random Treasures screws you over. $260 is not for both figures painted. It's for both figures unpainted. So now if you are like me and you're not an artist and you have absolutely no talent in the world whatsoever and you can't paint or draw or do any of these amazing skills, I'm going to get them painted, of course. Expertly painted. No doubt about it. To get 2 figures, just because they're a tag team, you're paying $360. Plus tax and everything, you're shelling out almost $400 for these figures. So they charge you over $100 more to paint the figures just because they're a tag team. And I'm like, what difference is it by selling 2 of these figures as tag teams or selling 2 other random figures individually? So that is one reason why I kind of want to get away from the Random Treasures tag teams, because that is an absolute ripoff. None of these figures are worth $100+ individually, and to charge someone almost $400 for 2 figures is insane. I still think that, like I said, I do think that the Legion of Doom figures are the cream of the crop when it comes to Random Treasures exclusives, but severely overpriced. Do I recommend the figures to other buyers? Like I said, I mean, it's something that I will never tell anybody, stay away from this. There are certain things that would have my highest recommendation. There are things that have my lowest recommendation. I might say Mike Sharp, I would not recommend it. That's okay. It doesn't mean I'm telling anyone to stay away. It just means I don't like the figure myself. But as much as it kills me to put down the referee, one of the best Ram Treasure figures in the very first video, not even the first round, but the first video, I can't pass on Hawk. Even when it comes to history from childhood, Legion of Doom had always been my favorite tag team. So, for nostalgia reasons, I feel like the playability, the design, and nostalgia is going to push Legion of Doom very far in the tournament. So, last matchup is going to feature Luke of the Bushwackers as he does battle against the Galoob 2-up of Barry Windham. So, childhood Galoob figures. Sid Vicious, most definitely. Ric Flair. Brian Pillman. Rick and Scott Steiner. Ron Simmons, 6. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. I think that was it. I always feel like there should be a 7th character, but I just can't remember everybody. But those figures I had as a kid, and yeah, they got played like crazy because, we had Hasbros and Gloobs. We had to. I never had Barry Windham as a kid. I didn't know this figure ever existed, the Galoob figure, that is. And it makes me so mad because Barry Windham could easily be one of the greatest action figures ever, just right there alongside the Sid Vicious figure. And when they started coming out, when Ram Treasure started coming out with the Galoob 2-ups, putting them in LJN rubber form, the first figure I saw was Ric Flair, and after that I'm like, where's Sid Vicious? Give me Sid Vicious. And of course, once I got the Barry Windham and everything, it was an absolute must-have. If you are a fan of Galoob, the Galoob 2-ups are one thing I'm going to highly recommend. The way that the rubber is, again, it doesn't really mesh the skin tone. I hate that the figures are super light. I'm not a huge fan of the rubber because you feel the LJN rubber, which is nice, thick, and dark. And this is just so soft, and it's just, I'm not a fan of it. But I love the Barry Windham figure. Just right up there with Greg Valentine from LJN. An amazing fighting pose, one of the best playable figures ever, one of the most enjoyable. Very simple color detail. The only real change is like around the top of the boots where it goes from black to silver. But everything else is pretty much a very simple paint scheme. But I love, just like how on the back of the 4-inch hard Galoob, where they got the different color of the hair around the ponytail. I love that they keep that as well. That is amazing. This is an incredible figure. And I kind of feel like one of the Galoob 2-ups are going to win the tournament. Maybe. There's probably 2 or 3, regular Ram Treasure figures that might come out on top. So it's going to be a nice battle to see the last 6 figures or so. 6 to 8 figures. And Barry Windham, he has to be towards the end. I said Barry Windham was going to be towards the end in the last My Favorite LJN tournament. And I think he was eliminated in round 3. That was unfair because the guy that ended up making it to the finals was the guy that knocked him out. And if that happens again, next round or round after, if he faces that same guy, it's going to happen again. But this is one of those guys I expect to be standing somewhere near the last 6 figures or so. Bushwackers, Barry Windham already has the victor. The second I mentioned Bushwackers versus Barry Windham, you already knew Barry Windham was taking the crown in this matchup. With that being said, the Bushwackers, again, are not bad figures at all. I understand what Net and the folks at Ram Treasures and what Kevin over at Print Fury are trying to do with these particular figures. Bushwackers were famous for coming down the ring, kind of doing a little dance and stuff. Walking over, licking the faces of fans and stuff. Bushwackers were just a fun team. They were never any like mega superstars. But they get in the ring and they hold their own against like the natural disasters. I'm like, how are you guys getting annihilated in Royal Rumble matches, but like you're going against these 400-pound beasts and you're holding your own the entire time? It's like incredible. As sheep herders, or the New Zealand sheep herders, etc., all these other names that they went by over the years, and it wasn't always Luke and Butch either. There was a third member at one point, and then of course they go back to Luke and Butch. Obviously, the Bushwackers have been around or wrestled for over 40 years, or just shy of 40 years. I think it was like 37 years or something. But 1960s and I think into 2001 or something when they retired. WWE Hall of Famers, legends, absolutely. A great looking figure, right up there with the Legion of Doom. But the same issue, they're a tag team. So instead of paying $260 for 2 painted figures, you're paying $360 for 2 painted figures, not including the disc. Well, that does include the discount. Without discount, again, closer to $400 plus taxes. That's going to exceed $400. The play pose is what gets me. These would be absolutely brilliant figures without the play pose. Is it horrible? I mean, it's still a serviceable, playable figure for those fans out there who are buying these figures for their kids or whatnot. I get it. Most people, probably better than 95%, who buy Random Treasure figures are adults who want to display them and kind of like keep their LJN collection going strong. I'm a stickler for play pose. I will never stop mentioning that. It's a solid looking figure. It's decent. It's playable. I mean, it's not horrific. Again, I think the Bushwackers on a total end scale would probably be a top 10, somewhere in the top 10 of my all-time favorite Random Treasure figures. And considering that they've come out with well over 40 figures, if you include the remakes, over 50, to put them in the top 10, that is an incredible run for figures like these. Solid. I love the way that the cargo pants, that the cargo pockets, dart out. Incredible. Awesome paint scheme throughout. I love the Bushwackers. I think they are fantastic figures. As a kid, I love them. As an adult, I'm impartial, mostly because I kind of feel like they weren't as good as how I remembered as a kid. But the figures are great. Just the prices are astronomical. In a matchup where one of the greatest figures ever, with one of the best poses ever, squares off against someone who's average pose, still an 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 figure for me. One of the best Ram Treasure figures, but no. Barry Windham all day, every day. This to me was an absolute no-brainer. So, Barry Windham takes round 1 as he joins Mr. Perfect, Smash, and Hawk as your first 4 winners to move into round 2. So, I've actually been talking a lot more in this video than I expected, so I kind of feel like even with just 4 matches, each video is probably going to run about 40 minutes. And if that happens, I don't want to do 5 matches. I don't want these videos to be excessively long, so I'm going to close the video here with 4 matches. I don't know if I want to post these once every 2 days like I've been doing. I've been really wanting to make this tournament for a while, and I'm really interested in getting these videos out as quickly as possible. So I might put out a new video every day. It's possible. Be prepared for every 2 days like normal, but you guys will see the updates, notifications and whatnot if I do come out with a new video each time. You know how I feel. I love to get my videos to triple digits, to get to 100 views before I post any new video. So again, if it gets to 100 views in like 16 hours, 20 hours, whatever, if I wake up the next morning and I'm there, I'll post the next video. But that is it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying the first part of this tournament, and look forward to talking to you in the comments, and see you in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.